So this is asking what is my favorite campaigns for Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. That we call them campaigns is its own thing. Oh my god, we went through a lot of different names for what we should call them because it's not really military. Is it a campaign? Is it a mission? Yeah. Ugh. Okay, but for Left 4 Dead 1, it's got to be No Mercy because No Mercy is kind of the standard bearer. When we were creating both 1 and 2, that's the episode or the campaign that we would run all our tests against. So a creature had to work inside of there, it had to play well. Like that was just kind of the standard. Because you always need that. You're always making a bunch of other things, right? You're making all the maps at once. And so how do you make all the maps at once if you don't know how the creatures and like... So as Left 4 Dead 1 wound down, we actually created what we call the dictionary of architecture, essentially. I forget what we actually called it. But it was a dictionary of locations, and it was just like, oh, this is a long hallway with no feeders, meaning no side hallways. A long hallway with lots of side feeders actually slowed you down and you moved slower through it. And we wanted to break it up and make sure that it wasn't always the same, and No Mercy had just naturally done that. And that's also where we did all of our experiments and all of our tuning, so it was the most fine-tuned of all the maps. It's also the map that got the first crescendo event, the events where you stop and take control of the timing. And so that just has a lot of like resonance with me. That's the one we took on the road and we play the most with people because we wanted to hold back the other ones as a start. So we are shipping Left 4 Dead 1, and me and an artist, Randy Ledeen, are talking about like what next for the Left 4 Dead series, and ignoring Left 4 Dead 1 or 2. We're just talking maps and episodes, and we come up with the bridge level. And that's the idea that there is a finale that's moving, that's always coming at you, and you've got to kind of run at it. And so that was the very first thing of Left 4 Dead 2 that was ever made, but it was made devoid of being in New Orleans or anything else. And then once we sat down, we realized, we're going to do Left 4 Dead 2 and pick up and do a new set of characters, because that was controversial. We did a bunch of user testing, kind of, if that was okay or not. We actually started working on the parish first. And I lived in New Orleans. I go back to New Orleans often. Got married down in New Orleans. Our license is in pencil. My wife made me go back and do it in pen. But I have a big connection there, and so I really love that city. And so that episode as well, for me, is just my favorite. And it was also the first one we did, because we worked backwards, which you shouldn't do. Because we wanted to know how best to make the first one, but then we made the first one overly complicated because that's what we were like, and then we had to simplify the hotel that you started. It used to be way more complicated with the fire. But for Parish, that's fun going through those areas and the bridge, and if you've lived down there, that bridge is like this iconic bridge. I don't know if they still do. You used to be able to take the ferry across to Algiers for free, and we'd go do that sometimes. I had friends who lived over in Algiers. But yeah, it was nice to go back, I guess. And so for me, that one means a lot. Though I think every episode has something that I could look at and go, I really like this part of it in this. I like the small town in this one, or I like the airport finale, or, like there's just different parts of different things that I really like. But those two are the ones that really stand out to me. And like I said, even when we were doing Left 4 Dead 2, when we were testing the Charger, we tested the Charger not in the parish, but we tested it in No Mercy. And so that's why moving them over then eventually and combining everything into one was interesting. And in case you're wondering, we actually recently went back and on a stream played the original Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead in Left 4 Dead 2. And it does play differently. There's a whole bunch of differences there that come out, and there's some good choices and bad choices. But I thought that was just interesting and kind of fun to do. And it is darker. It is darker, gloomier. Which is fine. It's just we wanted them to be different, and I think we pulled that off. And so curious of what other people's favorite are. And if you're going to say these two, because these two are kind of the classic, what are the sections then of some other map or episode that you really, really like that you always want to come back to and play? I'd be curious to know what we did right.